adversity creates opportunity. I can't say that enough. How are you going to come out of this as a winner rather than see this all as a wash, right? You only will have yourself to blame. How are we going to seize that opportunity?
You're listening to the TKE Nation podcast with Donnie Aldrich, where we strive to educate, inspire, and entertain you with tips and lessons from frauders and friends of TKE. Thank you for joining us.
All right. What's going on, TKE Nation? This is Nick Kimball coming to you from the beautiful St. Louis, Missouri, working from home here, just like the rest of y'all. I'm joined by frauder Zach Scott, Director of Fraternal Growth. How's it going over there, Zach?
It's going pretty well. I got to say, there was a meme not too long ago about how the weather normally in March is really, really rainy and dreary, and how during this quarantine time, it has been extremely beautiful out. And this is one of those occasions. You see, I'm out on my balcony. I'm enjoying the beautiful water. I'm enjoying the trees, this luscious green grass. And it is a good day to be talking to our Teak brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what they say about the weather everywhere. Stick around. It'll change, right? Yeah, so that's a fun one you hear on the road quite a bit. But yeah, so we're coming to you guys. We wanted to talk a little bit today about retention with both our brothers, with our P&Ms, with our new members. How are we retaining those guys? And also recruitment tips. If your recruitment didn't go as you wanted it to, you were planning on talking to a few more guys for a second recruitment, or thought you could still get some things going there. And also, although the world seems kind of dark right now, it will get better. If there's some good podcasts and articles we can recommend, if you're confused about what's going on in the world, or when are we going to flatten this curve, or when can I leave my house? That's things, exciting stuff, get back to normal. There's going to be a period after that, and that's fraternity is going to be more important than ever. Having a community and a place we can all come back to is going to be super important. So that's where we're at, and that's where we're coming to you. And we want to make sure you're equipped with those skills. But right now, we just kind of want to talk to you guys as brothers, as friends, and just see where, feel free to leave comments at any time. Feel free to, laugh at the video, make, funny comments. I realize my face is a little red right now. Yesterday it was sunny. It was 70 degrees in St. Louis. I was taking a few clappers at the back of my house. That's a little hockey term for those of you who don't know. But caught a few rays yesterday, and I think now more than ever, that vitamin D, being outside, getting fresh air is important. Work from home doesn't mean you are quarantined to your house or your mom's basement or parents' basement, whatever you have going on. But it's an opportunity to take that conference call outside. Maybe it is an opportunity to, in between classes, you're usually at the dining hall, or usually at the food court, grabbing some Chick-fil-A, Steak and Shake if your campus is awesome. Frisco melts for the boys all the time. But it's an opportunity to step outside, get some fresh air. If your Wi-Fi is capable, sit in your backyard, right? Those things, that's important. So feel free to, please don't make fun of my red face. It'll turn to a tan eventually, I promise. But yeah, Zach, how's working from home? You are used to being a road warrior. You're in Indiana, the crossroads of America, Indianapolis. What's the report from there?
Yeah, like I said, the weather has been remarkable lately. I feel like I'm a meteorologist right now, giving those updates, but it really is beautiful. I might end up just as sunburned as you. My leg is out here exposed, so hopefully I can maybe I'll jump in the comments once this is posted and give a status update there. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's been awesome. I think you harped on it. Building that routine and sticking to that is extremely important now more than ever. When you wake up, right, you and I, we're very familiar with the little Starbucks double shots, those little canned goods. Those have been huge for me when I'm maybe not feeling like, oh man, let me get up and get my French press going. Unfortunately, I have a nice cup of blackberry cream coffee right here to keep me running through this. Wow. But that's a good way to kickstart your morning, jump in the shower, get things going, see what you got in your schedule. Maybe you've got a few courses to attend through Zoom early in the morning. So you get up, you get that going, you make some toast, make some coffee, and then you jump in the shower after that. You get dressed, you continue your day. That's what I've been doing. And I think it's also been really cool to see as a staff, we've come together now more than ever before. And we consider ourselves to be a very strong and tight-knit family. And through this self-quarantine, there's a group chat that is created by Alex Swenson to keep frauders accountable physically, to make sure that we're staying active and healthy now more than ever, again, is extremely important. So that's been really cool to see how many push-ups or sit-ups or last night, this is on Monday that we're recording this, Sunday night, Chris Niles had sent a picture of him wrapping up his hands and going to work on a bag. He's doing a little boxing, I guess. So who even knew Chris Niles had that edge to him? But
it's martial arts. Okay.
Yes, he's a warrior. But it's been really interesting. Normally I'm wrapping up my travel. We were supposed to be in Washington, D.C. right now. And obviously with the quarantine that got bumped out, but still managing to do all of that work, right? I know that you've been integral in following up with those interest groups, and myself, it's been a lot of phone calls with the current growth groups, a lot of Zoom calls with our staff even, and just continuing to maintain that routine. That has been huge. And I think that's the biggest bit of advice that I can give to everybody else. And I'm sure you've heard it before. If you've seen any of the various resources that have been shared either by our staff or maybe you've seen on Facebook or other social media, is create that routine for yourself, adhere to it, and find ways to stay productive now more than ever.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think routine, and you're going to hear it first, but you got to figure out what works for you, right? I work from home a little bit more frequently than Zach. He's the road warrior on staff, but developing a routine. I'm not used to this amount of time, as I'm sure no one else is, but getting up. Zach mentioned some cool coffee he had going. I'm just a Folgers guy, blue lunch pail type of guy. But that's my routine. It works for me. Getting up, doing a quick workout, talking about trying to do more push-ups than Zach or some of the other guys in a group chat and checking in with that. Developing a routine. What do you do before lunch? What does your eating routine look like? What are you planning? I find it's helpful to make a schedule because at work or in class, you're going to have that schedule for you. It's very easy to get upset, sad, depressed, not have a positive outlook on what's going on right now across the country, across the world, globally, what's going on. But developing a routine, figuring out something, doing something the night before, planning your day, you're going to find that, in my opinion, things that you're doing now are directly applicable to what you should be doing to optimize yourself. I know Zach and I talk about all the time. There's a lot of podcasts of optimizing your routine to get the best effort. Are you doing 1% more every day? Just because the world isn't normal doesn't mean you can't create routines to be normal and to be better than you could be, right? What does being better men for a better world mean? It means being the best version of yourself. And Teak, we don't change people. We try to make you the best version of yourself. That's where our diversity in every sense of that word comes from. So developing those routines and finding time to go outside, whether you're playing hockey, you're going on a run, you're going on a walk, just different things to switch up your day. Is there a routine in the house, or is there a project you wanted to tackle? Cool. Maybe that's, you take a quick lunch and you're doing something just to switch up the day, to turn the screen off. I don't know about you guys, but I've been trying to decrease before COVID-19, been trying to decrease my screen time on my phone. We increasingly live in a more socially connected world, a more phone-driven world, and I'm just as guilty as anyone. But I think in the end, after all of this, like I said, I think fraternity is going to thrive, community is going to thrive, Knights of Columbus, any clubs, organizations, community-based neighborhood events are going to thrive because people are going to miss that. People's screen time is up right now. People are downloading games on their phone. There's various social media challenges going on, and that's cool if that's your thing. And it's, Zach and I were joking before. I'm sure you guys have watched The Tiger King. Joe Exotic, what a guy, huh? There's all kinds of stuff, and maybe we'll be really successful. You guys will love what we're talking about here, and we'll get a separate podcast going on TKE Nation podcast stream just to break down The Tiger King, all 7 episodes there of that great docu-series. But it's okay to watch Netflix. It's okay to play video games. I'm personally a chill NHL guy. I know Zach has his own video games he plays. I think was it COD?
Call of Duty. We got some of the guys on the staff. We have a little group that'll play after work, and I know myself when I been on staff for 4 years. That first 3 years, that would be a way that I connect with a lot of guys. Was let me get your PlayStation ID or whatever it may be. I'm a PS4 guy, but thankfully through Call of Duty, right? They've got the opportunity to now play across platforms, and it's been wonderful to connect with guys that normally you don't get to see, chapter brothers or other undergraduates. And I think, again, it's just finding ways to stay connected with one another is massive. And obviously we'll dive more into that in a little bit. But yeah, that's amazing. I was kind of curious, Nick. You managed to stay connected with a lot of guys, whether that's in interest groups or with colonies that you've already helped get up and running. What are some of the stories that you've heard from guys that you work closely with, or some of the stories maybe even you have of how individuals have stayed connected and what their thoughts are and everything going on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. I think a lot of guys are just kind of what you and I were just hinting at. It's fun to turn the world off for a little bit, to play on your phone, to watch Netflix, binge Netflix, to rip some video games, but it gets boring after a while. People, we're inherently social beings. That's a human being. It's a social experience. And all of us who are listening to this have chosen to take the next step in being a social person and joining a social fraternity, a social organization, to take that to the next level. So how are we staying connected? Is it creating a group chat? Zach mentioned the interest groups. The fraternity is not stopping. You know, Zach and I are both with Victor Casanova on the expansion and growth side of the fraternity, both new store and same store growth. And by that, I mean new chapters, interest groups, colonies. And Zach primarily works with groups that, for whatever reason, top TKE to most improved TKE chapters, that didn't hit their recruitment goals the previous year or their campus threshold. And Zach and we want to see them succeed at a higher level. And most of that is not necessarily in numbers. It's a culture, it's a mentality. So that isn't stopping right now. And all those interest groups, I'll give a few shout outs. Make sure I get this right because we had to correct it multiple times. Hobart and William Smith colleges. That's Smith and William, is not plural. Shout out to you guys. They're up in upstate New York, and a bunch of guys who played junior hockey and some guys on the rowing team. And they looked at their school, they looked at their Greek scene and said, hey, we want a different experience. COVID came along 3 weeks later. They said, yes, TKE is what we want. And we're going to continue that, because the idea that we can plan, we can execute all the things, we can work on mentality, we can work on culture, we can work on planning and details, does not have to stop. This is actually the perfect time. Think of how many times on your specific campus that you're getting distracted. You're with classes, with mixers, with jobs and internships. And I realize a lot of people are in a hard situation not having those. As someone who worked my way through college all 4 years, that not having a job, not having the income would be tough. I'm very lucky that this didn't happen to me when I was in college. So my heart goes out to you guys, and Zach and I are here if you need anything or want to talk about those things. But there's a lot of distractions, right, that say, man, we really want to work on this with our fraternity. We want to work on this with our chapter. This is the time to do those things. And the interest groups, Marymount University in the greater DC area, Western Carolina University down there in North Carolina. Shout out to the regional barbecues out there across this country. But all those places, Oklahoma University, are interest groups that we've had going on that were going to happen regardless of this virus and global pandemic. And they're happening still right now. And it's connecting in any way we can to get excited about the future, because 2 months seems like a very long time to social distance and not be with our brothers, not be achieving the goals, not planning to go on that trip, to have that experience, to have that brotherhood event, to have in-person chapter. But in the grand scheme of things, we need to be positive about it. We need to plan. We need to make sure that as soon as we're allowed to, be with each other again, to be functioning as a normal society again, do we want to spend that time planning, or do we want to spend that time just executing the awesome ideas, the awesome experiences we've had going on. So this is the perfect time to start an interest group, to grow the fraternity, to have conversations about what this brotherhood means. There's a lot of people out there who are looking to connect in some way now, whether it be Zoom happy hours, if you're of age, Zoom happy hours, different things, and saying, hey, I wish I had a brotherhood. I wish I had a system to lean on outside of my family, because as much as you love your families, we're all cooped up in the same little area, and that's not the norm. So getting outside that comfort zone, connecting with people, and finding ways just to check in. I've recommended to guys going through their phone. Man, I'm so old saying this. Someone said phone book, their contact list on their cell phone, right? And saying, man, I haven't talked to this guy in a while, or, I'm really not that close with that guy in the colony interest group chapter. Maybe I should connect with him. Maybe I should see how he's doing, get invited to play a video game, or ask him what he thought of Tiger King, or recommend another show to binge at night when you just need a little downtime to forget about the craziness of 2020 and all that has ensued. So that's what we're recommending to guys, and that's what we're working with. I get on a lot of Zoom and Skype calls. I know there's a lot of great new member education plans coming from our director of education, Alex Swenson, and the regional teams are putting out information, and we'll go through this all at the end of resources. But yeah, that's what we're doing, Zach. I mean, as someone who's really focused on culture and retention in what you do, and in encouraging groups how to retain new men, to retain our current brothers, and how it all relates to culture, recruitment, and mentality. What are you seeing with groups, and what are they talking to you about with the groups that you're working with?
Yeah, no, before I jump into that, I do want to say, if you guys have things that y'all are doing and things that are helping you stay sane during all this, please drop it in the comments, whether you're seeing this on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever it may be. Please drop in the comments of what you're doing. That way we can just kind of story tell a little bit, and you can actively engage with people and help others, help your brothers, right? But for the retention piece, I'm glad that you asked that question. I think now more than ever, right? If you've listened to myself talk, or you listen to Nick or Santos talk at one of the RLCs about retention and recruitment, it is so vital right now to not just focus on recruiting that next pledge class maybe, or the next new member class. It is incredibly important to focus on the guys we already have. How are we retaining the new members that we recruited just a few short weeks ago? How are we retaining the guys that we recruited 3 years ago? And it might be kind of silly, right, to think of it that way, but you have got to stay involved with everybody, right? Find ways, like what you were talking about, Nick, of let me call this guy. I mean, flip through my Rolodex, I think is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
We're a little old men, but
Mad Men style. Yep.
There you go. Flip through the Rolodex and find that guy that you don't really know so well, or the guy that maybe is from your new member class and you haven't talked to him in a couple of years. Maybe he's a part of a different friend group in the chapter that maybe you don't necessarily hang out with too often. Now is that opportunity to reach out to one another, find ways to challenge yourself and create new opportunities, new conversations. It is something that we, and myself and Nick, we had talked about this when we were planning the session out last week. In this digital age, we find ourselves, even if it's in a chapter meeting, maybe we're texting the guy that's sitting right next to us, or texting the guy who's on the exec board, who's at the front of it, of like, hey, can you bring this up? Or maybe we're sitting in our dorm common space, and I got a really funny meme that I want to send to somebody, and he's sitting right across from me. I could just walk up and show him, but how much funnier to watch his reaction, right? And we already are we rely heavily on this digital age. And I know that obviously you want guys to find ways to stay active and stay energetic, but when you can't have that guy right next to you and he's thousands of miles across the country away from you, how can we stay involved with one another? How can we check in on people and find out, hey, do you have enough toilet paper? It's been a hot commodity. For some reason, it's been a very hot commodity, and how can we make sure that our guys are well stocked and healthy and safe? Of just a simple call on the phone, or even just a simple text, all the way down to our new members, right? If you are an active member and you didn't get a real strong opportunity to get to know these guys over the last month or so, or even over the last week, reach out to them, extend that branch, and see what's going on with their life and how they're doing, how you can be a resource to them. I think it's extremely important to find ways to create these relationships virtually. We're doing a very good job of it up at headquarters, and I love to see it. I get texts now more than ever from guys that I normally wouldn't talk to, Joey K, shout out to you if you're watching this, on our staff, handles risk, was in Region 3, now handles a little bit of finances. He's doing it all. And I love to see these texts from him about staying physically fit and active. And it's really awesome. How can you be doing that in your own environment? That's a major part of this retention.
Yeah. I could jump in real quick. I think the summer, like what Zach's really getting at and what we're talking about is we invited you, your chapter, us as brothers. Like we trust you and your chapter to grow the brotherhood. It is one big brotherhood to grow your chapter, and those guys are going to be our brothers, and those guys are going to represent us. Everyone wears letters. You're always wearing letters. Those are who you recruit, represents Zach, represents myself, who we recruit when we're coaching groups, when we're creating chapters, reflects you. And we bid those guys for a reason. We invite them to the brotherhood for a reason. Say, hey, we really want you to be a part of this group. We think you'd make a good addition. Let us teach you about the fraternity. Let us get to know each other more. That's what the education process is all about, right? But making sure just until they, officially get initiated, we're keeping those guys, reminding ourselves every day that we wanted them to be a part of this brotherhood to continue on, not just for the next month or the 2 months, but for the next 4 years, the next 3 years, for the lifetime, right? For 20, 25 years, the homecomings, the memories, the traditions, all that stuff. So just keep that in mind and make sure you're checking in with those guys. But back to you, Zach.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Something that is kind of going through my head is that this adversity is creating opportunity. And if you don't rise to that occasion of stepping up and finding new ways to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, you'll be left behind, right? You're going to see guys that don't see the value in it. And I know a lot of people have talked about, oh man, I'd love to get my money back because I got 3/4 through the academic year and now this happened and I'm not seeing the value anymore. Well, that's something that we have to get in front of, right? Ideally, we're doing these things already. We're already working to retain our brothers. We're already recruiting our active members that we already have and showing them that value. But now, again, more than ever, we have got to develop these skills so that way in 4 years' time, like you're talking about, we are already doing these things. We've learned from this adversity and now have created a new system of staying in touch with one another, being that true brother and what that actually means for us. I talk to this guy very consistently. I talk to him regularly. And I just to check in on him, see how he's doing. We should be doing that stuff anyways. It's not rocket science. It might sound crazy to you, but it'd be crazy if you weren't doing this stuff. And this is a huge opportunity to begin doing that. And we'll talk about some other things of whether you're worried about this continuing into the fall recruitment side of things, of how there are things you should already be doing that you can now seize this opportunity to build up your social media game or something else. But we'll dive into that a little bit more later on. But again, adversity creates opportunity. I can't say that enough. How are you going to come out of this as a winner, as a deal closer, as we like to say on the expansion and growth team, rather than see this all as a wash, right? You only will have yourself to blame at the end of the day when this is all said and done. How are we going to seize that opportunity?
Yeah, I think a good little metaphor, and maybe it's not good. We're doing this live. I did not rehearse this, so feel free to kindly, brotherly roast me in the comments if this sucks. Sorry for the swear word there. So when you're a senior, right, and you're doing fraternity for life ritual and you're doing the final gavel pass, right, and guys are saying, how am I going to be remembered? You're thinking about that. How am I going to be remembered in this chapter, in this colony? What's my legacy going to be? Did I leave the chapter colony better than I found it? Did I really make a mark? Was I truly a mentor to this freshman, to my little brother, right? To these people? What did I do? Flip it to this situation, right? Did I spend those 2 months, which really, really, it sucked. I mean, it was, I stayed inside. I couldn't see my friends. I maybe couldn't see certain family members. I didn't work, or some horrible financial situation happened to me, or I got sick. There's an insane amount of TKEs out there, right? There's 11,000, 12,000 active undergraduate collegiates every given year and growing. There's 250 40,000 living alumni out there. There's going to be frauders that have this happen, and we're rooting, hoping for the best for everyone, and everyone's in our thoughts and prayers. But how are you going to spend these 2 months? Is there a pet project that you wanted to do? Did you want to read more? Did you want to work out more? Did you want to learn a new language? Did you want to, I don't know, journal more? Maybe play more video games? Whatever you wanted to do that you didn't have time to do, how are you going to remember it? Because 2 months, it's like, man, this is going to bite. This is not ideal. But in a year, 2 years from now, when maybe you graduated, maybe you have a job, maybe you have a family, or you said, man, I didn't get to spend as much time doing this or with these people or doing this and connecting like I wanted to. So how are you going to look back and remember this opportunity when you finally had the time to do those little things, to worry about the details, to not just worry about the big picture, but to really look inside and figure out what I need to do to get to that next level of my life, whether it be career, family, college, personal development, relaxing, that, you don't have to always be moving. But what did I do? Did I squander that opportunity, or did I just get super negative and just really waste it? Or did I just turn the positive attitude? Mentality is everything. How did I do that? How am I going to remember COVID-19 when, this global pandemic took us and I had 2 months to really work on those things? So sorry for the long-winded metaphor. Hope it stuck with you guys, but how is your personal legacy going to be left during these next 2 months? It's a huge opportunity to worry about beyond 2 months. And I think that's a really good transition to what are we doing with recruitment, whether, Zach talking about retention, right? 1A and 1B. How are we retaining our current members? How are we retaining our new members, making sure they're educated, making sure they're connected to the process? And we're moving on to point 2 here for those of you keeping up at home. Point 2 with recruitment, right? 2A being, did we get the guys we wanted to? Were there people who we were still talking to? Was our recruitment still going on? Did we want to do a second recruitment? Where are we at in that process? And then maybe we got all the guys we wanted to. Maybe we're just really worried about 1B and worried about retention. But we usually do these normal things when seniors in high school come to campus. Summer orientations might be online or virtual. How are we making sure in 2B that we're prepared for when this ends, right? To really use a cliche Dark Knight metaphor, right? When the dawn comes, when the night finally ends, when that darkest part of the night ends and we're ready to go seize the day again, what are we doing? How are we prepared? And that's what Zach and I want to talk about now. And so that's the part where we're going to talk about now. So 1A, if you talk about second recruitments a lot, what should guys be doing right now?
Yeah, I know that Peter Dawson, the regional director in Region 1, had fielded this question to me before a volunteer call for volunteers in that region of a lot of groups that are deferred recruitment, right? They might be focused right now on how do I recruit those sophomores, those juniors, those freshmen that I'm going to get to join in the fall semester. And if you're a school that heavily recruits now, right, those incoming freshmen, what can I be doing right now? I don't see it any differently than what you would normally do of how can I reach out to these individuals. If you're in a digital classroom right now, all of us seem to be currently, how can I be forming a study group with people that I have identified through the first part of the semester or in previous semesters that I think this guy's a really solid potential new member. How can I start something? Easy way, create a study group. If it's coming into, what other ways can I be coming up with other potential new members? Social media game. We had listened to a Fired Up seminar on Friday, and I'll plug those right now. Every Friday they're doing one at 1 p.m. and one at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Please chime in for those. I'll send out emails to the growth groups, and I'll get the permission of all the other regions to send it out to everybody in TKE Nation, because these are some really cool opportunities to learn and to hone these skills that aren't just recruitment skills but life skills. But how can we be, if we haven't already, right, how can we be creating a digital media system that's consistent, a brand that is consistent on our social media that we can promote to other people? Slide in the DMs on Instagram finding guys in the 2024 class page on Facebook that's already been created. Right now, there are people who are getting their acceptance letters in the mail and making that decision. Of course, it's a crazy time, and not many people, there's a lot of uncertainty, not many people know what they're going to do, but it's just that much more important for those who do know that we take advantage of that opportunity. How can we create this new digital potential new member class, right, of going through social media, going through the people that we already know and have met through classes the first half of the semester and create study groups now. There are all of these possibilities in front of us that we need to be taking advantage of if we aren't already. So that way we are prepared. Whether it's a worst case scenario of we can't do classes in the fall, maybe it's not till mid-semester, maybe it's not at all, that we are still finding ways to recruit people and get ahead of the curve and hone those recruitment skills. It's that much more important to focus on this stuff now. Nick, I'm not sure if you had some insights as well as to some of that, but those are some of the things that I've talked through with volunteers, with chapters, and some of the things that I've heard out there as well.
Yeah, I think one, and I know this is going on about 30 minutes, so I want to make sure, obviously you can stop and pause this whenever you like. This is a recording. Some of our sessions will be live, but so I want to give a quick rundown of that and then make sure this isn't like, oh man, it's like a 2-hour lecture, right? So going through that, it's, one, assess where you're at. Are you at 2A? Are you at somebody who, are there PNMs still out there who you still wanted to talk to? Don't stop. Now, that's not going to be the same conversation. It's not going to be, hey, man, you want to come out to our event or you want to meet some of the guys. That's not going to be able to happen in person. But it can be, hey, you want to meet some of the guys? We're hopping on a Zoom call, or you want to Skype into our chapter. We're having a virtual one every 2 weeks. How are you handling this social distancing? How are you handling quarantine? And can I help you? Can I be a support system for you? Because that's, at the end of the day, regardless of all the stuff, that's what a fraternity is, right? A support system. So are we talking to guys, and how are we having those conversations? Or are you in the 2B category of, hey, we crushed recruitment this year, like we're going to fill out top TKE awards, like we're still going to be a top recruiting chapter? How do we move forward? Because we usually do a lot of groundwork in the spring. And we're home. So that doesn't mean you can go hang out with people in your neighborhood or people from your high school, but maybe spend that extra time going to the high school newspaper. I know Zach and I both went to Jesuit, all boys schools, right? Jesuit and GJ. Yes, love it. That's cool. We coordinated that. Hope you could see that on the call. But how are you doing that? There's usually, every high school uses a list of, say, hey, this is where people go. These are the feeder schools from high school. That's the biggest underutilized pipeline. Go and look at that. They're still putting that information out there. There's still people that especially if you're an underclassman who are out there who are going to be attending college. They're excited about it. And although this semester might have got taken away from you, or their senior year of high school might have got taken away from them in some way, which is really not ideal, be there and talk to them about it and say, yeah, I know senior year of high school is a really big deal for me, and I'm really sorry that happened to you, but let me tell you how awesome freshman year of college is going to be. Let me tell you how awesome these next 4 years are going to be. And let me tell you about my experience and why we're the group of guys you should have those experiences with and have those memories with and really develop yourself with. That's a huge opportunity. So evaluating where you're at, having those conversations. And I know we said this in the beginning, but leave comments and questions that you have, things that you say, hey, that was a great point. I want you to deep dive on that, because Zach and I are going to be coming at you most likely once a week, semi-frequently at least, whether doing live, Facebook lives, Instagram lives, all the social media. Not a big tech guy, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, but all lives, more virtual recordings, taped scenarios like this one, and diving deeper on specific topics. We just wanted to come at you, introduce ourselves, hit retention and recruitment in a large way, and then we'll deep dive on some of these issues. Maybe one of the things we'll deep dive on is summer recruitment, what it looks like now, spring recruitment, virtually closing a bid, closing a deal, as we say, right? What are we going to be coming at you? So be on the lookout for that stuff. Zach, I'm going to give a few resources of where they can still go for headquarters as a whole, and what they can be listening to if you get bored. I realize there's a lot of things on everyone's mind now, and Zach and I certainly understand, and everyone at headquarters does, that TKE is not the number one priority, but it is that support system. Please think of it as that and that outlet. So Zach, if I forget anything or you have anything to add, please jump in on the resources situation. But there's a TKE Nation podcast that is still releasing podcasts that I highly recommend. I believe Zach and I are the frequent flyers on that bad boy. So a lot of Zach and I material on there, a lot of recruitment material on there. And there's a lot of good stuff on there. So feel free to look at that. I believe, not to toot my own horn here, but still most listened to podcast. Shout out to Alex Swenson, who does not have that. But TKE Nation podcast, there's video recordings that the regional guys are doing, your regional director and your associate regional director. There are alumni volunteer opportunities. There's alumni volunteer academy videos that you can look into if you're a board member or a chapter advisor, or you're a senior who says, wow, I want to get more involved. This has inspired me. There are all kinds of videos that are going to be posted. There's going to be a new member education that our director of education, Alex Swenson, is going to put out. So there's all kinds of stuff that we're going to be coming at you, and resources that if you really want to dive deep, as well as Zach and I. The fraternity is still operating. Your contacts, everyone, we're still operating, having those conversations with people, whether it be friend, brotherly check-ins, or, hey, we really want to be prepared for recruitment, or we still want to do some virtual recruiting. Zach and I are certainly available to all those, so feel free to email us or shoot us a text. But those are those resources. Zach, did I miss any to add?
Yeah, I think that the last thing I would mention for the resources is just the e-compliance, the other digital education opportunities that are out there. If you're an alum, the AVA videos, these things are integral to continuing that TKE experience, and are things that you probably got a million emails or texts about, and it's vital that we continue to follow through on those, because they are a major portion of our fraternal obligations, and just wanted to give those a last minute shout out. The only other thing is I wanted to drop a few questions in before we wrap up, that hopefully, if you're still with us through this journey, what are some of the things that you're doing to stay sane? Again, harp on that question again. What are ways that you are actively contributing to watching out for one another at your chapter, or if you're an alum, those guys that you haven't talked to in maybe a few years? How are we staying engaged on that level? What are some other resources that you would like to see from us as a TKE headquarters? I know that we have been very diligent over the last couple of weeks of taking notes, and there are a lot of things lined up that are going to get pumped out very quickly over the next few weeks, and probably over the next few days in particular. But what are some other things that you would like to see? Hopefully we'll be able to say, hey, we've already got that, but hopefully we'll also be able to add in a couple other things that you, the people, are wanting to digest. What other educational resources can we provide? And if there's anything that you want to see Nick and I present on. I know that Nick and I are both big pasta people. I send him pictures of macaroni and cheese that I make all the time. It's amazing. I'm a great chef. I
make a great fettuccine Alfredo, little special way you get the cheese on the top with the fingers. Very nice.
You'd think he's Italian by the way that he cooks some of this stuff up.
We love it.
But yeah, what are some things you'd like to see us do, even if it's a fun little video of us cooking, or if it's us chatting about some serious questions and concerns that you guys have? We are here for you all. We as a staff are here for you all. And it's vitally important that we take advantage of one another. Continue those communications with each other at your own chapter. Continue those communications with us at headquarters. And stay diligent, everybody.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity, guys. Let's be productive. Let's stay connected, be productive, and Zach and I will be seeing you all again shortly, whether it be live or more recorded videos, or a combination of all those most likely. And just be on the lookout, and we're here for you, everyone, if they ever want to talk or need anything. But until then, we are signing off. It's been great. Hope you all enjoyed it. And like Zach said, feel free to pump those comments, pump those likes. Let's keep it maybe not professional, but keep it nice. Zach and I have very fragile egos, so please don't harm those in any way. And we'll catch y'all later. See you guys.